What will it take to put an end to the Mamelodi public transport crisis? Was the impounding of over 50 Mamelodi minibus taxis done in a fair manner? How does the current impasse impact on the local commuters? Are taxi operators prepared to resolve the matter amicably? What time is it? It's question time. Welcome to Question Time. My name is Elvis Preslin. I'm standing in for Mpho Tsedu. Following the recent spate of attacks by some taxi operators on the Autopax buses in Mamelodi, the situation is described as calm but still tense. Local taxi ranks have remained empty since this morning, and operators have stuck to their guns not to resume the operations until their taxis are released. While all the affected parties are locked in meetings to resolve the impasse, hundreds of commuters in and around Mamelodi have been adversely affected by the shutdown. A reminder that you can call us and air your views on the following number: 089 110 4210. That's 089 110 4210. Our Twitter handle is @QuestionTime. You can engage with us. Now, my guest today is Alpheus Malazi, who is the General Secretary at the National Taxi Alliance. A very warm welcome to you, sir, and welcome to Question Time.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we're going to take a look at an interview that we've done earlier, but before we do that, let's take a look at this particular insert on the taxi industry.
Mamelodi taxi operators lived up to their threats. A total shutdown, inconveniencing thousands of commuters in the Pretoria township. They dug in their heels, saying they would not transport any more commuters until the impounded taxis were released. Police say taxis will have to undergo roadworthy tests before they can be released. Yet again, a struggle to get to work. The Deneboom and Mahube taxi ranks were deserted this morning. Commuters turned to Autopax buses. There were long queues at bus stops. No incidents were reported. Taxi operators have threatened to shut down operations in the entire province if the impounded taxis are not released by the end of business today. The taxis were impounded after Operation Fiela was rolled out. This in response to buses and passengers coming under attack last week. Taxi operators are resisting Autopax buses taking over Patco routes.
There you have it. Now, a reminder that you can call us and air your views on the following number: 089 110 4210. That's 089 110 4210. And the international number, just to remind you, it starts with 0027 89 110 4210. Or you can tweet us. That Twitter handle again, @QuestionTime. Once again, sir, a very good afternoon to you. Let's start off our discussion this morning. There is a situation in Mamelodi. What is currently happening and how did it all come about?
Look, the situation in Mamelodi was sparked by a long-standing argument between the minibus taxi industry in the country, not only in Gauteng, and the Department of Transport at national and provincial level, due to the taxi industry being discriminated against when it comes to public passenger transport subsidies. While the other modes of transport are enjoying the subsidies, the taxi industry has been discriminated. And to us, that discrimination is unconstitutionally unjust and unfair. Now, every time we engaged government on the issue of subsidies, we've always been told that the department had irrevocable contracts with buses, particularly Patco, and they were doing all they can to sort out that side of those contracts. And once that is done, the minibus taxi industry will be subsidized. Now, when PATCO handed over the 12 routes, which they said were not lucrative enough for them, we saw an opportunity. And out of that, we approached the MEC for transport in Gauteng to say, here comes an opportunity. We are prepared to bid. This is what we have done. And the MEC indicated to us that when everything was sorted out, he was going to come back to us and tell us what the specifications are, the requirements are, and we have been waiting. We were surprised on the 30th of June to hear that on the 1st of July, Autopax will be operating on those routes. Needless to say, that is what sparked the disturbances that happened in Mamelodi.
Let me just go back to the first promise. When was that promise made in terms of the taxi organization or the taxi associations will take over as soon as PATCO comes to an end?
It's been MEC after MEC, including the current MEC, to say immediately they can sort out the PATCO contracts, the minibus taxi industry will be brought into the subsidy fold.
Mm-hmm. Now, looking at the situation currently, you have 50 taxis being impounded there, and the people are being stranded, the commuters. What are you doing about that?
Look, both the commuters and Autopax, by the way, are innocent victims in this fight. We put the blame squarely on the door of the MEC for transport in Gauteng. After the disturbances happened last week, we quickly convened the South African Commuter Organization, the minibus taxi industry in Gauteng, and PRASA. Saturday, Sunday, we were leaving meetings at around 1 in the morning until we reached an agreement. We had made certain proposal to PRASA to say, PRASA, one of your mandates is to transform public transport in the country. Here are the proposals that we are putting before you. And PRASA accepted those proposals. And then we requested them to communicate those to the Gauteng Department of Transport, the boards of PRASA, and so on. And we came to an agreement with our members to say, in the light of what has transpired now, there should be no more disturbances. We were surprised on Monday when we woke up that the Department of Community Safety or the police were impounding taxis. Initially, we thought it was some overzealous police people impounding the taxis, but when it continued throughout the day, we realized that this was serious. The following day, on Tuesday, they continued to impound the taxis. As you have seen on the picture that you have just shown now, those are shiny new taxis. I mean, they can't be worse than the buses that you see on the roads. And as we showed the media yesterday, those taxis have valid operating license. The drivers are properly licensed. We were astounded as to why those taxis were impounded.
But we are told by the Transport Department that those taxis that you are talking about and the visuals that you are showing us to, some of them, the 50 that has been impounded, are not roadworthy. And they haven't got the permits. What do you say to that?
As I say, you have seen in the picture, those are shiny new taxis. And as we did indicate at our media briefing yesterday, we did produce proof that those taxis are properly licensed. Yes, there could be one or two that would have operating license, but still the blame goes back to the Department of Transport because they have been failing to produce operating licenses. The spin, again, is those buses that were introduced on the 30th of June to start operating on the 1st. Where did they get the operating licenses at night? Why aren't they impounded? Clearly, the taxi industry is being targeted here for reasons not known to us.
Are the taxi operators prepared to sit down and resolve this particular issue amicably?
We have already resolved. We took a decision that at Autopax is not going to be disturbed for the 3 months they've entered into an agreement with the Department of Transport. As we have seen from Monday, there were no disturbances up to date. Even today, when the taxis were not operating, and the buses were operating and no one disturbed them. We are waiting for PRASA to come back and feedback on our proposals, and we are also waiting for the Gauteng Department of Transport to indicate to us if they would be prepared to prefer the taxi industry on those routes that were handed over by SABC, by Patgo. By the way, the taxis, the passengers in a bus and the passengers in a taxi are all South African. Why are the bus passengers and the Gauteng passengers being subsidized while the taxi passengers are not being subsidized? That is discrimination. It's unconstitutional. It's unlawful.
And we'll take that discussion further. Remember that you can call us on that number and air your views on 089-110-4210. International number, if you're calling from outside the borders, 002789-110-4210. Or you can tweet us, that Twitter handle, @QuestionTime. Question Time will be right back, so please don't go away.
Your World makes it its business every evening to round up the leading local stories and international news to keep you informed all the time.
Make a date with Your World every evening for all the news headlines around the world to keep you abreast with knowledge.
Catch Your World for headlines across the world every Monday to Friday from 9 p.m, then Saturday and Sunday from 7 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching Question Time. Now, my guest today is Alpheus Mlazi, who's the General Secretary at the National Taxi Alliance. But before we continue with the discussion, here is what the Gauteng MEC of Transport said earlier today.
Our primary concern is to protect the rights of commuters who should be able to make a choice about the mode of transport they wish to use. They can choose to use a taxi service or a bus service, and they should have the right to do so under conditions of safety of their persons and of the property and those kinds of things. We can confirm that Autopax had run multiple shifts this morning to assist the thousands of stranded commuters.
Our question to you today is, what will it take to put an end to the Mamelodi public transport crisis? We have David on the line from Rustenburg. David, good afternoon to you.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Your thoughts?
Superman. I was listening to the secretary there. I just want to comment about something. The Taxis Association, whoever in the top board, there's only one question that I'll ask them. Are they aware?
Well, we've missed.
Affect or people might die.
David,
are they aware about that?
Can you repeat that again, because we missed that question of yours?
Are they aware that the issue of taxi strike can make people to die? Are they aware about that? Are they aware that their passengers, the people that they're carrying to work on daily basis, can be killed? And I'm talking about innocent people. Are they aware about that?
Thank you, David in Rustenburg.
That's all my question.
Thank you so much, David. Mr. Mlazi, what do you say to that? Because that was going to be my next question to you. The concern about the commuters in Mamelodi.
Look, the sufferings that the commuters have to go through is inexcusable. I don't think we can find enough words to apologize to them, because as I've indicated, they are innocent victims to this. When the two elephants get into a fight, the grass suffers, which is our commuters. And by the way, to us, they are our business. They are our bread and butter. But some things are out of our control. At the end of everything, when a passenger gets into a subsidized mode of transport, they only pay half the price, while the commuters that use taxis, they pay the full fare. Now, at the end of the day, if there is an agreement out of this, the biggest beneficiary is definitely going to be the commuter. In order for us to give the best service to them, trained drivers who work less hours, are forecast, properly trained, and everything will be at the benefit of the commuters. But now, given that while we are not subsidized, we are forced to charge charity fares, not market-related fares, obviously that will compromise their service. And we want them to travel in safety and in comfort. That is our fight.
Thank you so much. Let's hear it from Isaac in Kimberley. Isaac, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
I'm good. You know what? Our department, it must be fair because of now the Department of Transport are saying the people, they must choose, they go to the taxis or they must go to the buses. But now, the buses are subsidized. It's obvious the people will want to go to the buses because of the taxis are more expensive than the buses because they don't get any subsidized from government. So, and then now the government says the taxi people that they don't want to work with the government, and then they don't think for the people. Things like those ones, and then they don't check the other side of the taxis because of the taxis they don't get subsidized from government, which means the taxis, they will be expensive than the buses.
Thank you so much. That was Isaac in Kimberley. Now, you've got a point that the taxis are not being subsidized. Is that what you are currently busy with? There was an indication that the government is going to assist the taxi associations to tender for the new bid.
Yes, we've had that for the past 20 years. That is why the taxi industry has got to a point to say, no, it has to happen now because it's unlawful, it's unconstitutional, it's discrimination. But yes, we will continue talking to government as long as government is prepared to talk to the taxi industry. But it can't just be talking and it doesn't come to an end. It is either agree or disagree.
But are you not then holding government ransom with a gun to their head?
No, we can't do that. We are law-abiding citizens. How can we hold it? We are saying the government must level the playing fields. In the previous order, the taxi industry was treated as a stepchild of the transport system. It cannot be that the biggest people mover in the province and in the country is excluded from subsidies. We are saying that is unfair. Why is it taking 20 years to talk about something that is a simple? By the way, it has always been said, no, you can't subsidize taxis because they're individual businesses. So there is enough technology. We're talking to many electronic fare collection companies that are ready to come in and implement that. And we have said, as the taxi industry, if that is a problem to government, subsidize the commuter. When the commuter has the money in his hand, the commuter will decide if they want to use a bus, a train, or a taxi. That's how fair we've been.
Commuters who are without transport today, is that going to happen tomorrow? And there was also a threat that it might even spread to Johannesburg?
Well, we think there has been a meeting of minds, because this afternoon we were told that the taxi operators who had their taxis impounded, they must take their fines to the prosecutor to have those fines cancelled, and release notes will be issued. We are told that has been done, and we are also meeting with the Premier tomorrow. In the light of those two positive developments, we have decided to call off the strike, so there will be no strike tomorrow. Taxis will be operating normally, including in Mamelodi.
Now, Sobri in Kempton Park, a very good afternoon to you.
How are you, sir?
I'm very well, sir. You?
All right. I just want to bring this to your attention, that the producers of the show, it would be nice if they bring the discussion of this nature. They balance the story. If you bring a guest from the taxi industry, it would have been nice to have a guest from the taxi industry and also probably the MEC.
But can I just stop you there for
before you can come in.
No, I just want to correct you. Mr. Elvis Mlazi is the General Secretary for the National Taxi Alliance, so he speaks on behalf of the taxis.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm saying you have Mr. Malazi representing the taxi industry. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying, to balance the story, you could also have brought in the MEC.
No, I agree with you.
Also have brought in the police so that we can hear all sides of the story, so that we as viewers sitting here and listening to the story, we can be able to make our own informed decision in terms of who's doing this, who's doing that.
Sobri, I hear you, but let me just update you as well. We also tried to get hold of the MEC, but unfortunately he's in meetings and discussions, and unfortunately we couldn't get hold of him. But point taken, thank you so much for raising that. That's Sobri in Kempton Park. Now, Mr. Mlazi, what will it take for the violence in Mamelodi to stop? Not just in Mamelodi, but in general.
There are two types of violence. The violence that was sparked by the introduction of Autopax has stopped. We managed to resolve that one. As you have seen from Monday to today, nothing has happened. And we trust that negotiating forward, we will be fair to each other to the extent that both sides will listen to each other to come to an amicable solution. But on the other hand, there is the type of violence whereby taxi owners and taxi leaders get assassinated. Every citizen of this country has a constitutional right to life, and that life must be protected by the state. So we cannot act policemen. We are not policemen. We are looking at the authorities to arrest and convict those that are murdering taxi owners and taxi leaders. We were surprised when we listened the other day when the Premier was addressing a meeting in Mamelodi that the Premier was pointing fingers at us, but we are the people that are being killed, and we're looking to the state to protect our lives. Look, there has been a lot of developments in the taxi industry. First and foremost was the regulation and control process, which registers taxi association routes, operators under those routes and so forth. That in a way kind of organized the taxi industry. But then when some people who think they have the authority to cause chaos in the taxi industry encroach on those routes that have been allocated to certain associations, and we go to the authorities and say, look man, can you solve this problem? They'll come and say to us and say, no, we're doing general law enforcement, where they end up minimizing the victim. So the working relationship, particularly between the taxi industry and the police, isn't that great. So you'll find it very difficult to eradicate taxi violence in the taxi industry under those circumstances.
We have Abel from Vosloorus on the line. Abel, a very good afternoon to you.
Yes, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, sir. You?
Okay, but I speak in Zulu, man.
You can speak in Zulu, yes.
Yes, Chief, you know what, it's in a department. So, in the subsidy, but the thing that makes us cross, we as a taxi people, you know, when there's a problem in taxi industry, the law enforcement will come and impound the car. They are not solving the problem. That's the thing that is making and Minangla Boxbed, Finanking with Mill Park. Same department, Mogmela solving king by impounding mod. By impounding mod, no money operating license.
All right, Abel, I think we've got the gist of that story. But the traffic authorities are only doing their job, Mr. Mlazi.
Yes, as I said, we are law-abiding citizens, and we are subject to all the laws of the country. But Let's go back to the Mamelodi situation. The impoundment of those taxis had nothing to do with general law enforcement. It was specifically in response to what was happening.
I'm going to prompt you on another one, because this is very important, and that's what you mentioned about the commuters for tomorrow.
Correct.
What can commuters tomorrow morning expect?
Commuters can expect the taxis to be operating normally.
There won't be any violence?
No, there won't be any violence.
And would you, as the taxi organization, promise that after the 3 months, when you do take over those routes, that the commuters will receive the type of service that they're supposed to get?
Look, with the kind of subsidy that is being given to the buses that operate on those routes, we can say with certainty that we are going to give a very excellent service, because we won't be short of resources.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time, and thank you for joining us here.
Thank you.
That was Question Time for today. A big thank you to my guest in studio. That was the General Secretary of the National Taxi Alliance, Mr. Alpheus Mlalasi. Thank you for watching at home. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Question Time. What time is it? Ciao for now. My name is Elvis Presley.